Hey everyone, this is Shashank Mishra, currently working as Data Engineer 3 at Expedia, and in today's video, I'll be talking about data engineering versus data science. Before starting the video, if you are new to the channel, then hit the subscribe button, and if you want to keep learning from industry experts, then don't forget to check out Scalar's event page, link is in the description box. Data engineer versus data scientist. Most confusing term from the fresher's perspective, because as a freshers, when we start exploring big data domain, what we think, all the data professionals, irrespective of their job profiles, they are doing the same thing. And I would say we are wrong at this moment. In my 5 years of experience in the big data domain, I have worked with so many data engineers, data scientists, analysts, BI engineers, and honestly speaking, everybody is doing a different thing and trying to solve a different business purpose. But today we will shift our focus towards the data engineer versus data scientist. No doubt, data is the new oil of the industry, and every single enterprise want to use it for their data analysis. They want to compete with different businesses, and that is why we need this data to analyze ourselves and also to figure out the customer behavior. And when we talk about the data analysis, things will start from the beginning. That means the raw data. And this raw data passes through multiple transformation phases in order to cater multiple business purposes, and that is why these different job profiles will also come into the picture so that they can cater different audiences as well. And that is why I will be explaining the concrete difference between the data engineer profile and the data scientist. And for that, I'll be taking a help of couple of pointers which will help you to understand this difference in a better way. First difference is very straightforward. Understanding the roles and responsibilities of a data engineer and a data scientist. So let's start with the data engineer. I always call data engineers the frontliners of any company which is working on the big data solutions. I am also a data engineer, so I know what kind of things we are trying to solve in an organization. As I said, in the data analytics, things will start from the raw data. So who will set up that pipeline? Who will set up that mechanism so that we are able to pull the data on scale from different origins into the system so that we can apply some business logics on top of it, so that meaningful transform data is available in the downstream system for further analysis. And these data engineers are actually responsible for that. They are the one who will be dealing with all those engineering complexities in order to set up that scalable and optimized data pipeline. Let's take a very simple example. You are an e-commerce platform. Obviously, per second, millions of transactions will be happening on your platform. Customers will be buying, purchasing multiple things on the platform. So where we are storing these transactions, because this is the actual data we need for the analysis. This is the data we need to analyze for the customer behavior. So whatever transactions are being made on the platform, those will be captured and will be stored on different sources. It can be a cloud storage, it can be a database, or it can be a different application which is sending these transactions in the real time. So the data engineers, what they will be doing, they will be setting up that whole mechanism which can pull that data, and on top of that, they will be doing the coding stuff as well, means writing those complex piece of programs where the actual business logics are implemented. For an example, you have 2-3 data sets related to the payments data, you want to join it together so that you have a concrete aggregated data for the payments. Let's say in the last quarter, how many sales you have done, what is the profit growth, what is the loss part, so that you can send these matrices in the downstream system and further analytics will be done on top of that. So data engineers are a good mix of those software engineers who are closely working on the data side. And in these days, we know how easily we can access the internet, and that is why on a very fast pace, every day, every single minute, data is growing in a very fast speed. Means gigabyte, terabytes, petabytes of data is getting generated every single second. And this is the part where data engineers need to handle that scale. We are not the one who will be using some enterprise ETL tools in order to use the drag and drop feature to create the ETL pipelines. we will be working on the custom solutions, and data engineers need to build those pipelines which are fault tolerant, completely optimized, so that it can handle any scale of the data. Now let's understand the role of the data scientist. So we talked about the data engineers, they were the frontliners, they prepared the transform data, and now it is available in the downstream systems. So data scientists basically solve those complex data mysteries. They actually solve those complex business use cases where this transform data will be used. They are not concerned about those scalable pipelines, how that data is available in the system 24/7. They are completely focused on solving a complex business problem. So the data scientist will be the one who will be using that transform data prepared by the data engineers and will be using those mathematical equations in order to create robust solutions. Let's understand the role of a data scientist with the help of examples. So there are very good examples for the implementation of data science, the dynamic fares, Uber, Ola, these kind of cab services, then the recommendation engines for different platforms, e-commerce, fintech or food delivery apps, and third example can be the fraud detection in the banking and finance system. So I will explain one example to understand the role clearly, that is the recommendation engines. So again, let's go back to our previous example, which was the e-commerce platform for the data engineers. So there, let's say you are purchasing something, you are fond of the gadgets and you like watches. So as soon as, let's say, you log in on Amazon and you purchase something for the first time, let's say some watch, Apple watches. So after a few days, what will happen? Let's say if you are keep on buying things randomly, so that behavioral will be captured by the platform itself. They will try to know what kind of things you actually like. They will try to figure out based on that pattern what you are doing on the platform, what kind of gadgets you are trying to purchase, so that they can use this behavior in order to push those notifications for you. So let's say new watch has launched with a good offer. So the platform now knows about your behavior. They know that you are pretty much interested in buying the watches. So obviously you will get that notification and you will be interested to buy it, and that is how they will be increasing their revenues. So that is how this recommendation part will be working, because they have analyzed your history. They have analyzed your activities on the platform, and based on that historical data, they have written some complex mathematical models which will predict your behavior with the perfect accuracy, that what will be your next step, what all things you will be interested in. So these are the few great examples to understand the role of the data scientist, and this is the part where these folks will come into the picture. So again, vice versa thing, data scientists are not the data engineers, they are not the data analysts. Both of them will be working closely, because you know the dependency. The transform data will be prepared by the data engineers, but this transform data will eventually be used by the data scientist in order to create these kind of predictive models or any kind of recommendation engine or any kind of thing where this historical data analysis and the behavioral analysis will come into the picture. Now let's understand the second difference, which is the skill sets. So for the data engineers, obviously there will be different skill sets. For the data scientists, there are different skill sets. But the good part about the profiles in the big data domains, you will always find common skill sets among the different job profiles within the umbrella of big data. So let's understand the skill sets for the data engineers. So as I said, we are the one who will be building those complex pipelines, and the all engineering related complexities will be involved. So first thing, you need to focus on the programming part, because you will not be using those custom enterprise tools where drag and drop kind of features are available and you are creating those pipelines. No, whenever we talk about the product based companies, they are working on those custom solutions where your programming skills, your data structures and algorithm part will actually tested. And if I talk about the programming part, as a data engineer, you can focus on three things majorly: Python, Java and Scala. So my recommendation will be Python because it is the language of data and it provides a great support for multiple data exploration libraries. And moving forward after 4 or 5 years, if you feel that you are not enjoying the data engineering profile, you can also take a diversion towards the data science and the data analyst profile, and they are also using the Python for the analysis part. Now coming to the second thing, which is the core part for the data engineering job, that is understanding of big data in depth and their frameworks. So big data terminology is very simple: distributed computation, storage, and the most important part will be dealing with different type of data and different formats of data like JSON, CSV, Avro, Parquet, structured data, unstructured, semi-structured data. And let's focus on the frameworks part, which data engineers keep on using on day-to-day activities. So first let's understand the batch processing system and then understand the real-time data processing system. In the batch data processing, you will be having multiple options like Hadoop, Hive, Apache Spark, which is also capable of doing near real-time data analysis. And when it comes to the real-time data analysis, you need to understand the crux related to the Kafka, messaging queues, Apache Flink, and also the Spark streaming part. So this is the core of big data. We talked about the programming and DSA. Now 2-3 more important components with respect to the required skill sets for data engineers, and it will also make your profile stand out from the crowd, and that is good understanding of the databases. It can be transactionals and the NoSQL databases like Cassandra, MongoDB, HBase. And next part is the data warehousing. Data warehousing, sometimes we feel this is a core skill set for the data analyst, but this is not true. As a data engineer, you are dumping the transform data into the downstream systems, and those downstream systems are what? Obviously some data lake or a data warehouse where this transformed information is actually stored for the analysis. So you need to know that how this whole thing will be designed, how that relationship will be created between the different fact tables, how those dimension tables will be created, how that whole star schema and snowflake schema part will be working in a data warehouse. And honestly speaking, based on my interview experiences, this is the most important round for your interviews as well, if you are in the mid-level experience. Next required skill set is the SQL, which is again a bread and butter for all data professionals, including the data engineers. So whenever you will be writing those custom business logic using, let's say, Hive or Apache Spark, you need to use that SQL part as well. You can write that whole business logic with the help of SQL so that it can execute it in a smooth way. That is why SQL is also something which is a very important skill set for the data engineers. Next one is the understanding of the operating systems, and more specifically the Linux based system, because most of the time you will be working on those machines or the servers where you are writing the commands. Even to simply move one file from one folder to destination, you need to write a command. And if you want to automate something, you need to write a shell script so that the whole process can be automated. That is why you have to have a really good understanding that how you can do the server side coding, including the shell scripting, Linux commands. Now the next thing, which is kind of match made in heaven, that is big data plus cloud. So if you want to become a top-notch data engineer and you want to stand out from the crowd, then you need to focus on the cloud technologies, and you can definitely pick any of it, AWS, Azure or GCP. But based on my experience as a data engineer, I have seen the market cap of AWS is quite big. Most of the companies as of now is using the AWS for their data analysis and setting up those scalable data pipelines, and in order to build the cloud agnostic solutions. So you can start with the AWS, but in the recent time Azure is also picking up. It is growing very fast and multiple companies are adopting it. And in the service based companies, mostly you will find these cloud based data engineer roles like cloud data engineer, AWS data engineer, Azure data engineer or GCP data engineer. So that's how you can upskill yourself, and you can even specifically focus on one particular cloud provider. So these are the overall skill sets which are required for the data engineers. Now let's talk about the skill sets required for a data scientist. So as I said, data scientists will be solving those complex data mysteries. So their role is not exactly like a data engineer who is writing those complex data pipelines, but few things are definitely common between them. First thing is the programming part. But as I said, for the data scientist, you don't need to focus on all these three programming languages like Python, Java and Scala that is required for the data engineers. As a data scientist, there are two languages which are really popular, Python or R. So you can start with any of it, either Python or R, because both are providing a great support for multiple data exploration libraries. And with respect to the data structures and algorithm for the data science role, even if you have a fundamental knowledge about it, that is enough. You don't need to focus too much towards the programming side like solving complex DSA related questions and all. Now focusing the crux of the data science part, which is the mathematics part. So I have been getting this question a lot, that as a data scientist, how much mathematics we should know, and without even having a mathematics understanding or having a degree which is related to the mathematics, will be able to become a data scientist or not. So my answer is, this is something which you can practically learn. You don't need to be a mathematics pro, just learn by doing the things. You have a data set, try to analyze it and try to use basic mathematics. That is how data scientists actually start with it. Because in the data science domain, as I said, you will be creating those data models, and those data models are nothing, basically are systems which are built with the help of training and test data, and that is something, a general mathematical equation which will give you the accurate predictive answer for that. You need to generalize the things. So as soon as you get a good exposure on multiple production level use cases, you can explore the calculus part, you can explore the algebra part of the mathematics. Moving on to the next part, which is understanding of the probability and the statistics like the data sampling, data distributions. This is also something which is a required skill set for the data scientist. Now this is the time to level up as a data scientist, and for that you need to focus on the machine learning part, which is the core part of the data science domain. Multiple machine learning algorithms are available which will help you to solve different use cases. So you are not trying to derive something here, that is why you don't need to go too much into the depth of the mathematics. There are languages, there are libraries which will help you with these complex machine learning algorithms. So just try to implement that one. Then you can shift your focus towards the neural networks, natural language processing, computer vision and the deep learning part. So this part which I talked about, the previous 4-5 skill set, this is the complete nutshell of the data science profile, and this is the part where data scientists actually focus more. And now if we move on to the other common skill sets between the data engineer and data scientist, so that will be understanding of data warehousing, databases, SQL, and the main part is the solving problems or analytical problems. And other required skill set to become a data scientist are quite similar to data engineer, but not those ones which are related to building scalable pipelines, but SQL, databases, big data fundamentals, data warehousing, and whatever you can get with respect to the cloud understanding. So these are the common and you can say overall skill set which are required to become a data scientist. And I hope after explaining this part, you can even evaluate what is common between the data engineer and data scientist with respect to the roles and responsibility, and also for the skill sets part. Now the big question is how to figure out which one to choose, data engineering or data science. I will explain it with the help of my own experience. So the way I started my journey in the data engineering, that was quite random, but when I realized the way I am moving into the data engineering, after 5 years of experience, I can definitely guide you that how you can figure out which one is the best career option for you. So for me, the way I started as a software engineer, and in my first company, I was having interactions with different teammates who were working on the big data projects. And that was the first time I got to know about the big data, and it looked very fascinating to me. And from that point onwards, I started exploring the big data fundamentals, how this whole data ecosystem works, and what are the available job profiles in it. I didn't choose data engineering randomly. I analyzed. I explored the data engineering profile, I explored the data science profile, I also explored the data analyst job profile. And the thing which I prioritized, first thing was the interest, and second was the demand and supply. So let's talk about the interest part first. And this is something which I always emphasize. So doesn't matter which job profile you pick, you should understand whether you will enjoy it or not. So for me, I was a kind of guy who had a soft corner for programming, DSA, building large scale system, how that backend part actually works, how that API interaction actually works, the load balancing, and creating scalable solutions. So I was interested in that one, and when I was evaluating data engineering, data science, what I found, data engineering is actually mapping with my interest. So whatever I liked, I found data engineering very interesting for me, and that's why I picked data engineering as my career profession. Nowadays we know the data science, machine learning engineering, AI engineering is the hyped one, right? Everybody is running behind these fascinating job profiles because of the random decisions, or they have heard these terms from their friends or colleagues who are working in these job profiles, and they will kept on saying that, hey, you should pick this one as a career option because there is a huge demand and supply, and these job profiles you can make a good money. But I don't think so that should be a parameter for judgment. As soon as if you are not liking something, you will definitely regret after some time why did you even choose this particular job profile. And that is the best criteria I recommend to each and every one. First, prioritize your interest, evaluate it, take 1 week, 2 week, or even a month to figure out what is inside the data science, what is inside the data engineering. And the second thing, you need to focus the demand and supply. And I think this part is quite sorted. Nowadays we all know how important data is for different companies, and that is why in maximum companies you will find the job opportunities for the data engineers and the data scientists. But the thing which you need to focus on, which kind of domain you would like to focus, because sometimes we have a soft corner for a specific domain as well. Let's say the healthcare or the fintech or the entertainment or the telecom. So that is how you need to evaluate in which sector there are more and more job opportunities. Also, which segment of the enterprise, whether there are multiple job opportunities in the service based firm or the consulting or the product based firm. So if you are able to evaluate on all these benchmarking points, then I think you are making a good decision whether you move for the data engineering or the data science part. But again, to summarize the whole thing, interest first, second supply and demand, third is what is in the market. So next 2 points are not actually the differences, but they are more about the facts. So let's talk about the job opportunity part. So with respect to the data engineering and data science, now again every single enterprise want to utilize the big data. They want to do this data analytics part in order to compete with their competitors. So wherever you will find job opportunities for the data engineers, definitely you will find the opportunities for the data science role as well, and this will happen vice versa. Means if opportunities for data scientists, you will find opportunities for the data engineering role in the same company. I will give you one specific fact which will definitely blow your mind with respect to the number of opportunities for the data science role or the data engineering. So I was doing a small research on LinkedIn. So there what I did, I picked up one location, the tech hub of India, Bangalore, and there I typed open positions for the data science role and data engineering as well. So just specific to data science, there were at max between 8,000 to 10,000 open positions in Bangalore itself. Now take this average number and try to sum it up for the locations within the India, like the Delhi NCR, Gurgaon, Noida and Delhi itself. So there are ample amount of job opportunities for the data science and data engineering in that location itself. And now try to sum this whole part for the job opportunities which are available across the globe. So at least starting from the 2020, there are lakhs of job opportunities available for the data engineering and the data science. And after this pandemic, right, there are even more and more opportunities have become open as a remote work option. So doesn't matter wherever you are located, you can find job opportunities in different origins and you can start working on the data engineering or the data science part. So if you have any doubt with respect to the open positions and you think that as an entry level freshers or a mid level fresher you won't be able to get the job opportunities in the big data, so that is a kind of myth, I would say, because my personal experience is different. I have interviewed so many talented data engineers and data scientists and I didn't check their background. They are coming from the freshers background or the service based companies or software engineering background. If they were having the right skill sets, we were always willing to hire them, because in the product based companies and in the modern tech world, these job profiles are in the boom and like very trending nowadays. Now let's talk about the last fact of this video, and I know you guys might be waiting for it as well because it is related to the salary and the CTC part of the data engineers and the data scientists. So according to the Glassdoor, I was again doing a research related to the different segments of the enterprises, like the service based companies, consulting firms and the product based companies. If somebody would have asked this question related to salary and compensation for the data engineering and data scientist profile 4 or 5 years back, then I would say there was a huge gap between the salaries of the data engineers and data scientists. That time not many people knew about the data engineering, what they actually do, what is their role and responsibility, and what type of companies are actually hiring for the data engineering role. Data science profile was the most hyped one, and that is why folks were getting good compensation for the data scientist role. But after this pandemic part, and at least in this last 2-3 years, this scene has completely changed. Now this gap is nowhere. The line or this gap between the salaries of data scientists and data engineers has completely vanished, and both job profiles are making good money, be it the service based company, product based companies or startups or consulting firms. So according to the Glassdoor, if you are the entry level freshers for the data engineering or data science profile, so if you are targeting the service based companies, so you can kickstart your journey with at least 8 LPA to 10 LPA package, and if you are targeting good product based companies, then you can definitely touch the compensation between 15 lakhs per annum to the 20 lakhs per annum. And I'm pretty sure these numbers are really good as a freshers to kickstart your journey in the data engineering or data science space, and that is the reality. And now this gap is nowhere, so don't go around those myths where folks are still saying that data science is the most hyped one and only data scientists can make a good money, not the data engineers. So with this we have come to the end of this video. I hope now you are clear with the difference between data engineer and data science job profile, and whatever key points which I have highlighted, it will help you to make a better career choice. And if you find it informative, then make sure to like this video and also subscribe to our channel. And if you have any query related to data engineering job profile or data science job profile, put it in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next video.